What is up, you guys? I am back with another bit of wisdom from the Lord, and I want to kind of go over what He is sharing with me about this upcoming winter season. And this is going to be something that you need ears to hear. But I pray that it falls upon those who are ready for it, and if you're not ready for it, that you would store it away in your heart for the Lord to bring back up. But we're just going to get into it. So God has been talking heavily about intimacy lately, and He's also been talking to me about a collective of women who are moving forward in their journey, but that did not heed warnings nor get to know the character of God or understand His ways when it came to crossing thresholds into the new. And so they get into that new situation, that new place, the new level of their life where they have the relationship that they were waiting for, or they have the house that they were waiting for, or they have all these things, but they did not get to know the character of the Holy One, and so they cannot discern properly how to navigate that season. There's this level in your journey where you get to where the Lord calls you into a different level of maturity that requires discipline, but it's not going to be discipline that is forced. God is going to be able to tell in your heart what you're capable of, and we have to bring ourselves back to the altar. And so we may have come to God in the beginning where we're like, okay, Lord, I am this sinful, terrible human being. I need you to save me, deliver me, and we lay ourselves in our sinful nature at the altar. But then we start to walk through the sanctification process, and we start looking at ourselves like as if we don't need to rededicate. God gave us what we needed, and now we're perfect and we're righteous and we're, you know what I mean? But there's this entire portion of building a relationship with God where it's no longer surface level. He calls you into depth. And what that looks like is, I had to go through a lot to get this understanding when the Lord gave me His heart around this. And basically He was showing me that the relationship that many of His daughters have with Him are the kind where you talk to Him surface level conversations throughout the day and you hear from Him in your dreams, but there's not actually moments where you're sitting down and having in-depth conversations with the Lord, where it's actually like discussions that you're having so that you can get to know His character without asking Him for favors or asking Him for all these different things. But like, your relationship with Him is very much giving the giving tree, where you come and you sit with Him and you talk about what you need and He gives you what you need, and then you go off and you forget, and it's getting like less frequent because you're starting to see the money come in, or the relationship come in, or the flattery come in, the validation come in. And He wants to build intimate relationships with us. And in order to build an intimate relationship with us, we have to actually get to know His character. The whole point of what this is like, many of you guys have gone through part of a journey, but as you continue to move through this journey, you still have no idea how the Lord moves. You don't know His character. You don't know, like, as long as you've been on these journeys, you don't understand how He moves. You don't understand what it means to be called. You don't understand how to find Him in your day. You don't understand where His heart is around certain things. You're still reacting out of anger. You're not operating in the fruit. There's this part of the Bible that talks about worthless slag, and when you go through the refining fire and you're being refined like silver, which means that these impurities are coming up and out of you so that you can be formed into whatever, and formed into the crown, formed into the ring, formed into the sword. You go through this process, and there's this thing called worthless slag that is the unusable silver that just falls onto the ground because it doesn't actually get formed and shaped and molded into the intended thing. So when you get into that position but you didn't surrender to the molding, then you're out of order in that, and you're like the prodigal who received its inheritance outside of time. And so you're sitting in the position that you wanted to be in, but you have no knowledge, no wisdom. You're still reacting impulsively. You're not understanding God's ways. So whenever things look like they're getting worse, you attach to what it looks like in the physical instead of seeking the Lord to see what's going on in the spirit, because many of you were called to witness people's deliverances, and you're seeing their deliverance and you're thinking, oh, this person is terrible, this person is terrible, and the whole time the Lord is delivering them, but you are attaching too much. You're trying to be the savior in their life. You're trying to control the narrative. You're trying to control. There's this whole entire circumstance. And He revealed to me also that He actually pulled a lot of people off of assignment for a season because many of His daughters were clinging to like prophetic words or clinging to mentorship without having proper boundaries, they were saying, oh, because this person's in my life, then everything must be going good. But they weren't heeding the warnings that were being delivered from this person. Oh, it doesn't apply to me right now, so it must not be for me. And just scoffing at the prophecies and scoffing at the idea that potentially God would be giving you instruction to prepare you for what's to come. That's his character. He wants to prepare us for what we're going to walk through. And so I say all of that to say this, that the Lord had given me a dream last night about our responses to rejection and how we put walls up whenever we aren't being honest with ourselves or with him about how we feel about certain things. And he showed me a archetype of woman that basically went through a betrayal that actually really hurt her, and she felt rejected, maybe somebody chose somebody else over her, and instead of being authentic in how she felt, she separated herself and cried on her own, and nobody really saw those tears. And then she put on this mask and became this people pleaser and performer, that she now flatters others and is looking for validation in man. And so when she feels like she's not getting the attention that she wants from the people that she's trying to flatter, or she's not getting the validation that she thought she was going to get based on her expectations from the people around her, it's all rooted in habits and characteristics that were born in that rejection wound, instead of actually intimately taking that to the Lord and sitting with him in depth and discussing these things so that he can really get rid of the resentment and the hurt and the underlying things that we lay dormant. At the end of the day, avoiding and dissociating from things that happen that actually do traumatize you, that actually do make you feel and create a soul wound in you, it doesn't heal the wound. And so whenever the time comes and you cross the threshold into the new, if you didn't surrender to the healing and get in depth with the Lord about it, those wounds get triggered and you begin to act as an access point for the enemy to the people around you, because that wound is still present and it requires depth in relationship with the Lord. And I'm not saying this as a prescriptive thing to anybody, but there's still a desire from the Lord to sit with you in the secret place and go over these things in depth, because those things affected not just you, but your soul. And if you turned a blind eye and went and wandered to distract yourself from the truth of what was happening, when you walk into the new season and certain people or experiences come back around and those same wounds are triggered now, before there was a band-aid put over them because you went and created a world of your own where it was built on validation of man, weren't necessarily operating in the will of God, creating things for yourself, right? But once you get removed into that and back into the will of God, those same things are going to be triggered and that same healing is still required. And so there's a lot of accountability that needs to be taken. God wants to talk about the difference between surface level and depth. When I got all of this revelation, the Lord had put me in this moment where I was upset because there was somebody in my life that they wouldn't even take a day off. They've worked every single day for the last 4 weeks, and there's no issue. I love them. They love me. We're all good to go. But I felt like this desire for a sit down conversation, let's go to eat. You're working so much that you don't even have time to spend with the people that you love, and it's overworking, it's keeping yourself busy, and it's all rooted in fear, it's all rooted in distraction. And the Lord removed that burden from me for a moment so that I could understand his heart. It's gone now. He gave it to me so I could understand how he feels when we pencil him in between overworking and scrolling and bed rotting and all of those things. How often are you sitting in the secret place just to hear him and get to know his character, just to get to know him as a person, not as a person, but as your Lord, as God, as your lover, as your friend. Get to know his character without wanting a favor, without complaining because you're so tired, because you have overworked yourself and you don't take any rest and you don't listen, and now you're arguing and all of the things, right? And he really just wants us to rest and give intentional time with him so that he can teach us his ways and who he is, so that our walk can be rooted in faith and not fear, so that it can be rooted in faith over fear, and we can walk in alignment with the steps that he has ordered for us, so that we can walk in peace through these things, right? So if we are focused so much on the physical, what we can get, what we expect, and we don't build that intimate relationship to get to know him, then we will completely bypass and miss the truth that's in his character. If you are in LTASH, we're going to go over this for the next few weeks. The Lord has given me 2 new upper room topics. We're going to talk about what bringing in an offering to the Lord as opposed to performance, and we're also going to talk about surface level versus depth. I'm so excited to get into that, but I hope that this helps, and I love you guys.